You know, we talk about power, influence, and authority all the time, right? But do we really have the right words for it? Well, today we're going to build a more precise vocabulary, a toolkit really, to understand the dynamics of pressure and persuasion that shape our world.
So, what is the word for a king who willingly gives up his throne, or for a criticism so intense it's officially put on the record? Think about it for a sec. These aren't just trivia questions, you know? Knowing the answers, well, it gives you a much sharper lens to see what's really going on in a news story, or in a business meeting, or even looking back at a historical event.
We see these complex power dynamics play out every single day. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. We're going to arm you with a kind of verbal toolkit so you can describe these situations with total precision and clarity. All right, let's get started.
All right, Section 1, Wielding Power and Pressure. First up, let's dive into the words that describe how power is actively used. You know, how it's taken, how it's held, and how it's used against others. So, our first word is arrogate. To arrogate power is basically to just take or claim something that isn't yours, with absolutely no justification. So picture this. A manager in one department starts making decisions for a different team, totally without permission. What are they doing? They're arrogating that team's authority. It's a bold, straight-up, unjustified power grab.
Okay, so not all influence is a blatant power grab like that. You've got different ways to exert it. On one hand, you have clout. Someone with clout has influence, right? They have a respected, powerful voice, especially in politics or business. But then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the yoke. A yoke is a burden, something that oppresses you. Think of the phrase, the yoke of tyranny. It's all about heavy, unwanted, forceful control.
You know, power isn't just held. It's often expressed through forceful criticism. But here's the thing. Not all criticism is created equal, and our language, thankfully, gives us these wonderfully specific ways to talk about it. So let's take a look at the spectrum.
Okay, check this out. I love this because it maps the intensity perfectly. At the mild, informal end, you have chide. That's like a parent gently chiding a child for making a mess. Then, you step it up a notch. To admonish someone is more moderate, more formal. Think of a judge admonishing a lawyer in court. It's a serious warning. And then, at the very top, you have censure. This is severe, it's very formal, and it's often public. When a parliament votes to censure a minister, that's a powerful official condemnation, a major public rebuke.
And that leads us right to the adjective form, censorious. So if censure is the action, censorious describes the attitude. You know that person who is just severely critical of everyone and everything, always looking for faults to point out and condemn? That's a censorious mindset.
All right, let's round out the section with a few words for more aggressive action. First, accost. This is when you approach and address someone, but boldly, maybe even aggressively. Then there's brusque. That's when someone's speech or manner is just abrupt, maybe even rude. And finally, buffet. To be buffeted is to be struck repeatedly. You could be literally buffeted by waves or figuratively buffeted by constant criticism. Okay, Section 2, reacting to authority. So we've just seen how power is wielded. Now let's flip the coin. How do people respond to it? Let's explore the vocabulary for reacting to all that pressure. And hey, here it is, the answer to that question from the very beginning. When a king or queen formally gives up their position, they abdicate the throne. It's a formal way of relinquishing power. But what about the opposite reaction? That's when you balk. To balk is to hesitate, to be unwilling to accept something. If you balk at an order, you stop in your tracks and refuse to do it. It's a clear moment of resistance. And when that resistance is just completely, totally unshakable, the word you're looking for is adamant. If someone is adamant, they are refusing to be persuaded or to change their mind. They are just utterly convinced and will not be moved no matter what. But, you know, reacting isn't always just about resisting or giving in. What about actively supporting power? Or even undermining it? Okay, so here's a great one. Buttress. Now this started as an architectural term, for a support built against a wall, and that's exactly what it means metaphorically, to provide support for or strengthen something. You could use new evidence to buttress your argument, for example. It's all about reinforcing and strengthening.
Now pay attention to this next one, because the difference is crucial. To abet someone is also to help them, but it's always for something wrong. While buttress is neutral, abet is negative. You abet a criminal.
You don't abet a good cause. It specifically means to encourage or assist someone in committing a crime or doing something wrong.
And what about words for taking power away? Well, we have two very useful ones here. To abridge something, like someone's rights, is to shorten or curtail it, to reduce it. But to abrogate something, like a law or a treaty, is to repeal or abolish it completely. So abridge is to shrink, abrogate is to get rid of entirely.
Okay, section 3, a powerful nuance. For this section, we're going to zero in on one single, absolutely fascinating word. A word that contains the push and pull of power all by itself. Get ready for this, because it just shows how weird and wonderful the English language can be. The word is cleave. And here's the wild part. It has two meanings that are polar opposites. Meaning one is to stick to something, to adhere firmly. Like, you can cleave to old traditions. But meaning two is to split something apart. An axe can cleave a log in two. A word that means both stick together and split apart. This is called a contronym, and it is the perfect word for our topic of power, which can, of course, both unite and divide.
All right, section 4, your powerful new vocabulary. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring this all home and talk about how you can take all these powerful new words and really make them your own.
I absolutely love this quote from Mark Twain. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. Isn't that great? It just perfectly captures why this all matters. Choosing the right word, saying censure instead of just criticize, or abrogate instead of end, it gives your ideas the power of real lightning, not just a faint little glow.
So how do you make these words yours? The best way is to actually use them. So here's a simple 3-step challenge for you. First, notice. Just try to spot one of these words in an article or a book this week. Second, use it. Try one out in an email or just a conversation. And third, teach it. Explain one of these new words to a friend. I promise, that's how you make it stick for good.
Because really, that's what this is all about, isn't it? You've got the words now. We've sharpened your verbal toolkit, so the only real question left is this: what will you use them to say? Thanks for joining me.